Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and welcome back to the New Orleans Kings franchise as we take a look at our AAA team before hopping into the first-year player draft, I should say, here in Season 3. And we will check out a top prospect of ours, and probably the top prospect right now, in Jimmy Pelko. He is a lefty. He is 80. He should be like 85 potential. He's 76 overall, and he's only 19 years old. He's an intriguing prospect, and I highlighted last episode that we don't have a ton of prospects that are really have a future that could possibly be, guys that are awesome contributors on the MLB level. They really need some years to develop, to be honest, and a lot of these guys aren't really, like I said, slated to be MLB players right at this moment because either there's guys ahead of them or they're not very high potential guys that I really see with a future on the MLB roster. Now, the one guy that does have a future in the MLB is probably Geraldo Herrera. I wanted to draft him in the draft last season, and I missed out on him because I had those first round picks and second round picks suspended because of the Astro suspension. I decided to honor that. And now here we are in Season 3. Those have been long and gone, so now we get to choose in the first and second rounds respectively and keep those players. So I'm looking forward to this draft, to be honest. So let's just check out some of these AAA prospects. Like I said, I don't know if a lot of them have some futures at the MLB level, but here's Dustin Brees, who is 67 overall, a center fielder, and is in his mid-20s, and he hits one to the right center gap. That one is a ground rule double, so a good start for him. I want to see what these guys can do. He's hitting below 200, though, so he's got to definitely clean that up. So here is Shane Bauer at the plate. He's hitting around 240 on the season, but he hits a hard liner to third base. And that brings up Geraldo Herrera, the one guy I think in our positional organization, I don't know how to say that, I guess guys that play in the field, that really has a shot to make it to the MLB. And here he hits one up the middle. But look at this. We're too aggressive here with Dustin Brees. He gets thrown out at home. And that is going to not score a run there, but still, Herrera gets credited with the hit. So that brings up Tommy Knight, one of the guys I do think has a future at the MLB level. He's sitting here at 70 overall right now. He's C potential, but he definitely is a power-hitting first baseman, a guy that I can see taking over for Jesus Aguilar. So now let's move on to the top of the second inning, and here is Jimmy Pelko on the mound, giving up a hit down the left field line, and that one will be a double here for the Iowa Cubs. And now with a man on second base, that brings up Pujols to the plate, and he hits one up the middle, and it is fielded and thrown to first base. This first out of the inning is now man on third base. That brings up Jeter Downs to the plate. 1-1 count. He gets a pitch on the inside part of the plate, and he turns on one. That is a hit. 1-0 here for the Cubs. And let's see if Pelko can settle down a little bit after giving up a run. And with two outs, here comes Jared Young at the plate, and he will swing and miss at the curveball in the dirt. And now we move on to the third inning. Now with a man on first base, here's a batter at the plate. Ground ball to left side, diving stop and thrown to second. That's Herrera at third base. You love to see it from one of your top prospects. And now with one out, that brings up the next batter. But he crushes one to the right center gap. That's a frozen rope, and it gets all the way to the warning track. And it will score one run, 2-0 here for the Cubs. And now let's see if Pelko can get out of this one now with a runner in scoring position, as that brings up the next batter, Adam Castro, the third hitter in their lineup, and he just belts one, and that one isn't coming back. That one was a no-doubter, his 7th home run of the year, and that was just a liner over the left field wall, and it's 4-0 here. As now with two outs, we finally do get a ground ball to Herrera. He comes up throwing. He's got that 82 arm strength at third base. But the Iowa Cubs take the 4-0 lead. So that brings up Dustin Brees as the top of the lineup does roll over. And he gets one right over the middle. He's not missing. That is gone. Home run for the 67-year-old, the 67 overall center fielder. He is going to be good. Like I said, I just don't know if he will have a spot on the MLB roster in the future. We'll have to see how he develops. But it's 4-1. So here's Jimmy Pelko here in the fourth inning with guys on first and second. But he does get a ground out. That's what you like to see out of him. He's starting to pitch a little better as this game goes on. And now with 2 outs, a liner right up the middle, but it is right at Brees in center field. And it is 4-1. We have some ground to make up. So now we move on to the 5th inning. Let's see what Pelko can do here. And it's a strikeout on the inside part of the plate. That slider buckled the knees a little bit. His 3rd strikeout of the game. And now with 2 outs, let's see if he can get out of this one. And it's another strikeout, a low and inside slider. And here we go, Pelko. Now he's starting to settle down. I think we need to just figure out what these guys do well and really just attack those things and get better at those things. So here's Michael Mcadams, one of the prospects we drafted last year in last year's draft. He got renamed to one of you guys, and that is going to be an error credited to the shortstop. So now we got a man on first base. And now with 1 out, here's Ronny Dawson, who does swing and miss, and that one will be a stolen base, but a strikeout as well. So now with 2 outs, man on second base, that brings up Claudio Junior, who is a young shortstop. He is 23 years old. He is see potential, but here a pitch in the dirt, and he is watching that one, and that one gets to the backstop. But look at the catcher. He does not pick up this ball and falls asleep. I don't know what's going on, so we are just going to run home. I don't know if he thought that was a dead ball or what, but nobody picks up the ball, and we score on that one. So I will take advantage of the CPU AI, and it is 4-2 as we move on to the 6th inning. Now a 5-2 game, as now we start out with Shane Bauer, who does get walks, and that brings up Geraldo Herrera, who is 1 for 2 so far in this game, and he hits one to the right side, and that one sneaks through. So now guys on 1st and 2nd here. So we may be cooking something up here with in the 6th inning, as that brings up Tim Beckham, who is still kicking here in the minor leagues, and he hits one down the right field line. That one does get down and fair, and it will score 1 run. And now guys on the corners here, 5-3. One more hit could possibly tie this game up and even take the lead. That brings up our catcher, one of our catchers in the organization. We don't have many. Jamie Richard to the plate, and he hits one deep to the left side, and it's going to get all the way to the wall. It bounces off the wall. Let's see if Tim Beckham will make it from first base, and he's got 42 speed. The shortstop kind of hesitates a little bit and throws home, and it's safe. A tie ball game. We come all the way back in this one, as now that was Jamie Ritchie. I said Richard. And now that brings up Michael Mcadams, who we drafted last season. Let's see if he can come through again. 2-2 count. Hard hit up the middle. That one does get through the middle, and it ties this, or actually gives us the lead 6-5, as our man Richie came all the way home from second. And now we came back in this one. Maybe we can give Pelko this win. So that brings up Ronny Dawson now. Let's see if he can continue this hit parade here in the 6th. And he will. A hard shot right up the middle. And let's see, we will move to third base. That is Mcadams, who has the speed to get there. And guys on the corners here with 2 outs still. This is a 2-out rally, as Tim Beckham got us going in this one. That brings up Claudio Junior, and he hits one to center field, and it will get run down. As now we move on to the later parts of this game. Let's see if we can retain this lead, but they do end up tying it in the next inning, and it goes right back to that same scenario. Here is Shane Bauer starting out this inning with a walk, and that brings up Geraldo Herrera, who is 2 for 3 in this game. Let's see what he can do. He gets a hanger and drives one deep to left field, and it will get to the wall and left. And let's see if Bauer can make it home. And no, he won't. He will stay at third base smartly. We have 1 out in the inning. Anything put in play should score the runner from third base. That brings up Tommy Knight, the power-hitting first baseman. And he strokes one down the right field line. That one actually got down before the right fielder even reacted to it. And it scores both runs. And Tommy Knight on his horse, and he will slide in safe, avoiding the tag. And that is some hustle right there from Tommy Knight, as now we have a man on second base here with Jamie Ritchie at the plate. Man in scoring position, but he will just fly out to right field. And let's see with this 2-run lead if we can retain it. And now we move on to the 8th inning, as Iowa gets 1 run back. So now Michael Mcadams back at the plate, and he's been hitting the ball well. This is one of our drafted prospects. It's off the wall, and he does make it to second base with a double. So now a guy on second base and no outs in this inning. We definitely have to score him. Give us some insurance. So that brings up Ronny Dawson to the plate. Hard down the left field line. That one gets all the way to the wall once again. Both teams are hitting the ball extremely well in this one. 7-9 in this one. And now, man on second base, no outs. We got to score him as well. So that brings up Claudio Junior, the 23-year-old middle infielder, and he gets one on the inside part, and he just gets enough wood on it, and it should score another run, and it will. 10-7 here in this game, and it looks like Claudio will get to second base sliding in safe. And now, with 2 outs, that brings up Geraldo Herrera, who is 3 for 4 in this game. Can he make it 4 for 5? And he hits one hard to the right side, and it's just snagged by the second baseman. As we move on to the 9th inning in this one, as we bring in Jake Wilson, who is actually a starter in our organization, but I really like him as a relief pitcher. He has developed quite nicely into that role, and he does get a pop-up here with 2 outs, and we do end up winning this game 10-7 as Michael Mcadams hit the ball well in this one. So did Geraldo Herrera, and Tim Beckham came through with a nice clutch hit as well. And our minor league team, our AAA affiliate, the Rockhound Express, get the win. So now let's move on to the draft here in season 3. And really, this is probably our actual full draft, our first one, because remember, in the first 2 drafts, we had to forfeit our first 2 picks. So we were just randomly picking a guy and we got rid of him. But here's the issue right now. So we're picking towards the end of this draft. A lot of the 80 overall fielders have been taken right now. There are a lot of 80 potential fielders have been taken at this point. There are some other ones, but you usually want to stay away from those guys that say the plus, the MLB ETA is plus, so 2026 plus or whatever the year is plus, because those guys take a long time to develop, and a lot of them are actually older as well. So I kind of look at pitcher, and that's the thing with us is that, we've drafted really well with starting pitching, but you can always get starting pitching late in these drafts and still have a high B, even an A potential pitcher late in the maybe 3rd or 4th or maybe even 5th round that you can find. So I do want to select a fielder to start us out. Now I look at Rodrigo Diaz and he looks really good. He's not 80 potential, but he is the most accurate guy we have with the highest overall and a guy that's not a 2026 plus ETA. So he will be our first pick in this year's draft. Now, second round, I really like some of these pitchers. Jed Feliz is one of them. He's 80 potential. Charles Aoki, it looks like he has the potential to be good in everything. And we do have some accuracy on him. He is 21 years old as well. 2023 ETA. And I don't know. I think I might go with him here. He is 65 overall, just about. We will see what he ends up being. And I do end up settling on him and drafting him with our second pick. Now, third round, I looked at Omar Geronimo in the first round, but with 70 potential, it wasn't worth that risk right there to kind of take a chance on him and him end up being maybe like a C potential or something like that. But I like him here in the third round. He is 20 years old. He is very fast. The stealing is all the way up at 80 out of 80 potential, so he could be a burner. He is a middle infielder. My goal really in this draft was to get a good outfielder, but we just did not have any options here in the middle rounds. Even in the first round, there wasn't too many guys to really select from. So I ended up settling on a pitcher in the second and kind of just a high potential maybe guy that we got in the first round. I guess we'll have to see. We didn't have the accuracy on him. So now we move later in the draft, and here's one of those guys that I was talking about. He is a 2026 plus MLB ETA guy, but 80 potential. He's a first baseman. It doesn't look like he does a lot well right at this moment, but he's 18, so that is definitely a draw for us because I said that these guys take a long time to develop, and since he's 18, I mean, he's got the time. He's young. We can just keep him in the organization, so we do end up going with him. So now for one of our last picks here, we don't have many guys to choose from. David Choi, a closing pitcher. I don't really see, anything too great with him, and he's one of those 2026 plus ETA guys, and he's got high potential, but we don't really have the accuracy on him. So then I just decided to take a chance on a guy. He has a good hitting zone. Rich Herrera, a center fielder. We could just all of a sudden strike gold. You never know. We wanted to draft outfielders in this draft, and it seems like he's like the only one that we get. But still, he's something. So Rodrigo Diaz with our first pick ends up being 68 overall, which isn't too bad. He actually has really good arm strength, and he has good contact. So this isn't a horrible pick. It's not like a great pick with your first pick, but it's a 20-year-old outfielder who we can definitely build around a little bit in our organization, at least giving us some more depth. He is only 71 potential, though. That definitely does worry me. But with our second pick, Charles Aoki ends up being 89 potential. And he's going to have some years to develop. He's 21 years old. He probably is going to take at least 3 years to even be at least ready to compete and be able to start or at least compete for a spot at the MLB level. So good pick right there. Our third round pick, Omar Geronimo, ends up being good though. He's 73 overall, C potential, 20 years old, great speed right now, great contact, great vision, and the clutch rating is up there with 72. So I'm definitely not mad at this. His defense will have to improve, obviously, but he's a low 70s guy we can keep in our organization for at least the next couple of years. I like it. Kevin Luna is a closing pitcher we chose in the 5th round. I like him too. He's 18 years old, B potential. We're doing pretty good with drafting pitchers in this series. I think that's definitely not been a concern for us. We've definitely had the depth there in the organization. And Kevin Luna, I don't have many relief pitchers that are pure prospects. That was actually our 4th round pick. As we move on to our 5th round pick, Carlos Acosta. And like I said, these guys that are the 2026 plus ETA guys, they end up being really, really low overall. A lot of times high potential, but I mean, is he really going to touch the MLB level at all in this series? Probably not. I mean, he's 48 overall. He's going to have at least like 7-8 years before he's even ready, to be honest. And a lot of times with a lot of prospects, that's how it goes. So we move back to the MLB level and unfortunately get struck with some terrible news. Pablo Lopez, for the 2nd straight year, gets hurt. At least this one's not for 6+ months like last year's was, but it's for 1 to 2 months, a fractured arm. And he was actually doing extremely well. He is our ace, 84 overall. I want to look at his durability. It's at 79, so it's not terrible, but it's not great either. But looking at him, he was 6-2, 122 whip. He was having a very good season. And now we will have to replace him. And I just highlighted last episode that Jose Urquidy was having a terrible year in the bullpen, but now he moves to a starting role where he will have to step up and go back into our rotation. So now let's just highlight one last game here in this episode at the MLB level this time and take a look at a situation here versus the defending national champions, the defending MLB World Series champions, the Washington Nationals. I'm about to say Redskins. I'm going all over the place with these sports as Brad Hand is in for the save. And in a 5-4 game, he does get one batter to fly out. And they bring in Brandon Lowe to pinch hit here with 2 outs. 1-2 count. And it's a low pitch. Slider, strike 3. And Brad Hand does get the save. He had a slow start to the season, but now he has come along a little bit as he does get another save to add to his total this year. And he will get us out of this game with a victory. Alex Wood gets the win. And we end up at the end of this episode 42-30. And we're just around draft time. Obviously, we just did it. And now we're down, or at least back by 2 games from the Angels. So we're just riding them. We're really close. And now we get closer and closer to the All-Star game. And you can just see some of our players are mentioned here in the All-Star voting. Corey Lee is 2nd. He should have won it last year, to be honest. He hit higher than the guy who won it over him. I actually forgot who it was, but he's 2nd in voting this year as far as catchers go. Hopefully he makes the All-Star game. That would be awesome. Carlos Santana is one of the highest vote getters in the MLB right now. He and Aguilar are both 1 and 2 for first baseman in the AL, so that is a good sign going forward. So that will do it for this episode. I want to kind of highlight the draft, look at our AAA guys, and one little quick snippet of the MLB level. And let me know what you guys think of this draft. I thought it was okay. I wanted a positional player that really shined for us, but it didn't seem like we got a guy that's really, really promising in the outfield. But we have, a couple of good pitchers that we drafted. I'm not too mad at the draft. So let me know what you guys think. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
Yeah, they filling out these job applications. Life got hard after high school graduation. I went to college and your boy got financial aid. They gave me money, then I went and bought a pair of J's. And I bought a pair of shades. And I bought a new computer. Had $400 left, spent the rest on